You're listening to STR, the Sandy Times Radio, culture, music and beyond.
Welcome to Watch the Icon, the podcast where we dive into the timepieces that didn't just tell the time, they defined it. I'm Sofia Brandwein, the Sandy Times publisher, and in this first episode of our 10-part series, we're going back to where the wristwatch, as we know it, truly began. This is a story of sky-high ambition, Parisian flair, and the world's first true wristwatch icon. Today, we are talking about the Cartier Santos-Dumont, a watch born not in a boardroom or a boutique, but in the clouds. To truly appreciate the birth of Cartier Santos-Dumont, we need to zoom out and look at Paris in the early 1900s, a time when the city was the beating heart of art, culture, and innovation. This was the Belle Époque, a period of optimism, invention, and extravagant style. The Eiffel Tower had just been completed a decade earlier, serving as a symbol of modern engineering marvel. Parisian cafés buzzed with artists, writers, inventors, and aristocrats exchanging revolutionary ideas over absinthe and cigarettes. Technological progress was accelerating rapidly, from automobiles to electricity, from early airplanes to cinema. In this electric atmosphere, boundaries between art and science blurred, and people like Louis Cartier and Alberto Santos-Dumont thrived. The watch they created wasn't just a practical tool. It was a product of this rare moment where innovation and elegance collided. At that time, men still carried pocket watches. The idea of wearing one on the wrist? No, that was for women. Not exactly what you'd call gentlemanly. But one man was about to challenge all of that, and he did it with style. Picture this. It's 1904. Brazilian-born aviation pioneer and full-blown Parisian celebrity Santos-Dumont is flying. His personal airships above the streets of Paris. Yes, casually floating over cafés and rooftops, wearing tailored suits and Panama hats, like the original influencer before Instagram was even a thought. Now, here is the kicker. While flying, he found it impossible to check his pocket watch, without risking losing control over the aircraft. So he turned to his friend, the jeweler to the elite, Louis Cartier. So who were these two men, Louis Cartier and Alberto Santos-Dumont, and how did their worlds collide? Let's start with Louis Cartier. Born in 1875, he was a grandson of Cartier's founder and the man responsible for transforming the family business from a Parisian jewelry house into a global luxury empire. Louis had a visionary eye not just for gemstones, but for design, innovation, and functionality. He was obsessed with modernity and mechanical precision, and fascinated by the changing pace of life in the early 20th century. Now enter Alberto Santos-Dumont, one of the most extraordinary figures of the Belle Époque. A Brazilian aristocrat, inventor, and aviation daredevil living in Paris, he was beloved by the public. Santos-Dumont wasn't just flying experimental airships around the Eiffel Tower. He was doing it in tailored suits and straw hats. The man had flair. He was also deeply curious, generous, and known to dine in cafés right after landing his airship outside them, like it was a bicycle. Alberto knew Jules Verne, the father of science fiction, whose imaginative novels about space and submarines inspired generations of inventors and dreamers. Verne and Santos-Dumont shared a fascination with flight and the future. Imagine the conversations they must have had about reaching the skies and beyond. And then there is Gustave Eiffel, the genius engineer behind the Eiffel Tower, the symbol of Paris and modern architecture. Santos-Dumont often tested his airships around the Eiffel Tower itself. The tower became not just a landmark, but a playground for his early experiments in aviation. Alberto and Louis Cartier met in Paris, both part of the city's elite, intellectual and artistic circles. They struck up a friendship, built on mutual admiration. One was pushing boundaries in the sky, the other on the ground with design. And one day in 1904, over a dinner or perhaps a stroll down the Champs-Élysées, Santos-Dumont told Cartier about his problem. He couldn't check his pocket watch while flying. It required two hands, and in mid-air, that just wasn't practical or safe. Louis Cartier immediately saw the opportunity, and in response, he designed a flat, square watch with a leather strap and a buckle. One that could be worn securely on the wrist and read at a glance. It was a practical solution, but also a design revolution. What started as a favor between friends became the birth of the modern wristwatch. The Cartier Santos wasn't just functional. It was elegant, Its square case was totally unique at the time, a deliberate break from the round pocket watches everyone was used to. When Cartier designed the Santos watch, he made a bold design choice that shocked the jewelry world. He left the screws visible on the bezel. At the time, screws were considered purely functional and should have been hidden. But Louis believes the screws were part of the aesthetic, almost like rivets on an airplane, symbolizing strength and modernity. That daring move is now one of Santos' defining features and a hallmark of industrial chic design. The first Cartier Santos-Dumont featured a clean square case, revolutionary at a time when round pocket watches dominated. The case measured approximately 25mm by 35mm, modest by today's standards, but perfectly suited to the refined wrist of Alberto Santos-Dumont. The dial was pure Art Deco minimalism, white with bold Roman numerals, a subtle minute track, and blued steel Breguet-style hands, all protected by a flat crystal. Inside, it housed a mechanical movement by Edmond Jaeger, one of the leading chronological minds of the era, delivering precision timekeeping in a compact form. Its design was both aesthetic and functional. The visible screws on the bezel and leather strap with a small folding buckle were daring touches that laid the groundwork for what would become one of the most enduring silhouettes in watchmaking history. Louis Cartier was always fascinated by mechanics, design, and illusions. Listen to one of the most incredible stories of his career. In the early 1920s, Louis Cartier was showcasing one of his most mesmerizing creations, the mystery clocks, which appeared to have floating hands with no visible mechanism. These clocks were masterpieces of both artistry and engineering, stunning collectors and royalty alike. Legend has it that at one exclusive exhibition in Paris, a daring thief attempted to steal a mystery clock. But the clock was heavier and more complex than expected, hidden behind thick glass and encased in intricate steel frames. The would-be thief, caught off guard by the clock's mystery, was quickly foiled by guards and fled empty-handed. The story, whether it's true or part of Cartier myth, reflects the allure and value of Louis' creations. They were so extraordinary, they sparked obsession and temptation, blending luxury with an aura of danger. While Santos-Dumont inspired the creation of the first wristwatch for men, it was Louis Cartier who recognized the commercial and cultural potential of the wristwatch for men. By 1911, Cartier made the Santos-Dumont available to the public. It was a hit. Gentlemen started strapping watches to their wrists, and the world of timekeeping changed forever. It wasn't just a watch. It was a statement. I'm modern, I'm daring, I'm ahead of the curve. The King of England reportedly ordered 27 tiaras at once from Cartier. Louis' flair for blending exquisite craftsmanship with royal tastes helped to cement Cartier's legendary status. But the Santos didn't stop at monarchs. Over the decades, it found its way onto the wrists of artists, icons, and tastemakers. Everyone from Andy Warhol to Tom Hanks, who famously wore one off-screen. Even today, celebs like Rami Malek have been spotted with Santos. Andy Warhol once said, and I quote, "I don't wear a Cartier to tell the time. In fact, I never even wind it. I wear it because it's a watch to wear. Same for me, actually. I never wind my own Cartier Santos. I just enjoy it on my wrist." The modern Santos-Dumont comes in several variations. Steel, gold, two-tone, even skeletonized versions for that open-dial wow factor. But across the board, here is what you will find. Square case. It's a signature shape, clean and distinctive. Visible screws, inspired by Parisian architecture and aviation rivets. Roman numerals, it's a Cartier classic. Rail track minute markers for that vintage charm. Blue cabochon crown, a tiny pop of elegance. Leather strap or bracelet options, it's very customizable. Size-wise, it's thinner than most sports watches. That makes it easy to wear with a shirt cuff or a suit jacket. Or when piloting a Zeppelin over the Champs-Élysées. And yes, Cartier does both quartz and manual wind models. So whether you're a collector or just want to wear something that drips heritage, there is a Santos for you. So why does Cartier Santos-Dumont matter today? Because it's not just a watch. It's the first real men's wristwatch. It helps shift time from the pocket to the wrist and from utility to identity. It represents a blend of utility and luxury, of aviation and elegance that's rarely achieved with such grace. It's versatile, it's historic, and it's still relevant over 100 years later. In a world of flashy chronographs and oversized divers, Santos is that quiet guy in the corner, well-dressed, well-read, and very aware that he was the first. Santos-Dumont remains a cornerstone of Cartier's lineup. It's been reinterpreted across generations, from sleek modern steel versions to precious gold editions and open-work skeleton models. The watch is beloved by collectors for its history, elegance, and versatility. It's a symbol that innovation and style can coexist, a reminder of that moment when wristwatches became icons. Whether on the wrist of a pilot, a movie star, or a watch enthusiast, Santos continues to turn heads and tell stories. That's it for episode 1 of Watch the Icon. The Cartier Santos-Dumont didn't just break the mold, it created a whole new one. Next time, we are diving underwater with one of the most legendary tool watches ever made, the Rolex Submariner. It was the first watch to guarantee water resistance up to 100 meters, invented in 1953 to conquer the depths alongside pioneering divers. Worn by James Bond, embraced by explorers, and engineered for extreme conditions, the Submariner revolutionized dive watches with its rotating bezel, luminous markers, and rugged design. Tune in to uncover the daring innovations and legendary moments that made this timepiece a true icon of adventure and style. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate us, and share with your fellow watch lovers. Got a favorite Santos story or wearing one right now? Tag us on socials. We'd love to see it. Thank you for listening. And remember, icons don't just tell time, they define it.